everybody, it's Jill here from the Wellness Compass. Welcome to our first episode of Cooking with Me. We're going to be having a look at a few recipes and I'm going to be making them and I'll be rating them on how difficult they were, how tasty they were, and how long it took. And also I will add the cost in and realistically what the portion sizes are like. One of my pet peeves is when I do a recipe and they tell you, oh, it serves 4 or serves 6, and honestly you could eat the whole thing by yourself. So yes, of course we need to watch how much we eat in portions, but we'll cover that later. So right now, tonight, we're going to be making crispy lamb ribs with a fresh herb sauce. And as a side, I'm going to be making sweet potato chips. So I'm going to let you have a look at the ingredients that we're working with. A lot of fresh herbs, which I absolutely love and adore. I love working with fresh herbs. I've managed to pick a few herbs from my garden. I've been growing my own herbs for about 3 months now. So I'm quite happy with my progress, and there were a couple of herbs on the recipe list that I didn't have that I had to go buy at the store today, unfortunately. So yes, and to help set the mood and the tone, I've had a long day, so I just want to unwind and I want to enjoy the cooking process. For me, I enjoy cooking, especially with trying to fall in love with nutritionally dense food. You can actually really make it into an art. So I have a glass of sparkling water. Cheers. And that's to help with the thirst. It's quite hot today. And then there's a little something that I do not indulge in very often. This is from the wine farm Steenberg in Constantia, and this is their natural sweet late harvest. And we went to the wine farm about 2 weeks ago and we did the wine tasting, and this tastes like golden nectar. It's absolutely delicious. Absolutely, if you like your sweet, if you like your muscadels and your ports, I'd highly recommend trying out Steenberg's late harvest. It's a bit pricey. I think I paid 200 Rand for the bottle, but this is a rare indulgence. I don't do this often. So let's get on to the recipe.
Alright, so let's get started. So as you can see, I have said get all your ingredients together. You can see I've prepped mine out on the counter, so I've got everything that I need, and I'm not going to be halfway through my recipe looking in the cupboards for utensils or looking for ingredients. So another very helpful utensil to have in the kitchen, especially if you're going to be starting to work with more fresh herbs, is to get something like this, which is a garlic crusher. You can use store-bought crushed garlic, but if you've ever tasted the difference between fresh crushed garlic and store-bought garlic, you will probably never go back to store-bought garlic. However, I do have store-bought garlic. I sometimes use it when I am lazy. Also, just a quick tip, the one that I bought was plastic. I really don't recommend it. The metal ones, they are probably like 5 times the price, but I've got a feeling they're going to last a lot longer than this one is. Right, then I have a little chopping board that comes with a chopping knife. This chopping blade thing. It's come in handy so many times. So, of course, I use this to chop up all my herbs, which does the job absolutely perfectly. Then preparing the ribs. So I ordered 1 kilogram of ribs from the butcher. And what I did is I gave them a nice wash, because ribs and meat are going from one counter to the next and going through many hands before they get wrapped and given to you. So I like to wash my meat off before I start cooking with it. And for this recipe specifically, I cut it up into strips because they're marinated in stock and fresh herbs, and I thought this would help each riblet get a lot more flavor. So next is seasoning the ribs. So very easy, just use black pepper and salt. The recipe asks that you season it really well. And then pack the ribs into a baking tray with some foil. I used my air fryer, so I put foil in the little air fryer basket. Then you pour your stock in, you add your fresh thyme, and your lemon juice, and add your fresh garlic. I rubbed it into the little riblets all over. And then you cover with the second piece of foil so it makes like a little edge. You seal the edges together and makes like a little parcel, and then you roast that for 35 minutes. Once you've roasted it for 35 minutes, you can then increase the temperature to 220, and you return to the oven or to the air fryer, and you'll roast the ribs until they're crisp and golden, and that is basically them done. Then while the ribs are baking or cooking in the air fryer, I place all the herbs into a bowl for the herb sauce. Put the herbs in the bowl, add the spring onion, you stir in some lemon juice, and then you whisk in the olive oil, and that is basically your simple fresh herb sauce. It is definitely best served cold. When I made it last night, I had it fresh like that, and today I had leftovers for lunch, and it was much nicer, I thought, when it was nice and cold out of the fridge. So after you have finished dancing and drinking the rest of your wine, it's time to start with the side dish. I had said in the beginning of the video that the side dish was going to be sweet potato chips, but I actually had a change of mind halfway through making the ribs, and I figured my good old-fashioned potato cream mashed potato would actually be quite nice with the ribs. So boil 3 or 4 potatoes while I microwave them, add some seasoning, add some fresh chives from the garden, and that is your basic mashed potato. And then that's basically a wrap. The ribs are done. You can serve your your mashed potatoes, you can add the ribs, you can add the fresh herb sauce, and then you can cut up 1 or 2 wedges of lemon juice to squeeze over. And that is basically the recipe. In terms of taste, when I sat down to enjoy this meal, I normally like sticky barbecue ribs or like a sweet marinade like Jimmy sauce, etc. So I was a little bit skeptical about all the herbs going on, but it was honestly one of the most tastiest dishes I've ever made. I would have easily thought this was coming out of a 5-star restaurant. It was so good. So a 10 out of 10 in terms of taste and flavor. Cost-wise, the ribs are quite an expensive meat. I think for the kilogram, well, we paid 140 Rand. I bought that from the Pick and Pay. But the rest of the ingredients were pretty cheap because I had most of the herbs growing in my garden. I had to buy a couple of lemons, but basically the most expensive thing on this meal was the ribs. Portion size. The original recipe says that this recipe for a kilogram of ribs will serve 4. That's not quite accurate. I would definitely say 3 is sort of the maximum that you're going to go with portion size. So yeah, overall, really happy with how this dish came out. Definitely will be making it again. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think.